Hey everyone, this episode is brought to you by Sweetwater. If you're looking for a new best friend that is going to help you in your buying experience and send you sweet, delicious treats, then go hit up Sweetwater and sign up for a Sweetwater rep because they are going to quickly become your new best friend on the internet. They're going to send you emails for Christmas and your birthday, and they're going to know the names of your pets. Is that true, Steve?
The first part I think is true. I have not talked to Abraham about my pets yet, but maybe I will. Maybe I should.
You know what? Robert hasn't asked me about my pets, and I'm glad he hasn't.
Because you don't have any?
He knows that there's a line in between a business and a personal relationship, and he hasn't crossed it, and that's called respect. And that's what you get from Sweetwater, guys. I've got goldfish. No big deal. Steve thinks I don't have pets. I've got pets. I feed them every day.
Where are they?
They're in the backyard, dude.
Those don't count as pets.
They're on my property. I feed them by hand.
All right.
Those are my pets. Hey everyone, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Steve, and this is 60 Cycle Hum, the guitar buying, selling, trading, modding, fixing, breaking, reviewing, playing podcast.
Back in the saddle again. We forgot to do it last week.
Yeah, I think we forgot to do it a couple times.
Maybe. This whole new format we're exploring where we've made very slight tweaks to things no one else will notice.
That throw us way off. This first ad was sent in by Joshua Daly. It's a 5-string bass. 5-string bass guitar with custom paint, sterling bass. So the first thing I have here is he spells bass and then he says sterling bass and he spells it like BASE. And all I can think is he trying to say like the base of the guitar, so like the platform of the guitar is like
sterling silver?
No, I'm saying sterling is the brand. Like this was a sterling.
Oh, he's saying that it started out as a sterling and that's the base of the concept.
Right. So it's like if I had a Squier Stratocaster and then I chopped it a little and reshaped some of the body and whatever, I would say electric guitar, Stratocaster style guitar with custom paint, Squier bass.
I feel like he'd say Squier based, not Squier bass.
But Squier based makes it sound like you got the idea from it. Like Stratocaster based would make me think that it's like based on the idea of a Stratocaster versus the base product was.
We're really getting into the weeds with semantics.
The real thing here is that this is a blue guitar with a red flamey whatever.
They're trying to do this is a Zelda theme, right? With the triangles.
I don't understand. Like this bright blue, I feel like is kind of actually mildly offensive. Like this color scheme is kind of.
I keep hearing that millennials are offended by everything, but the color blue, Steve, that's what you're offended by?
I think the overall aesthetic of this guitar is designed to offend people who have any sense of like what colors go together, what things should look like.
I'm searching for Zelda Triforce to see if there's any sort of link to this color here.
I'm
just seeing the Triforce. I'm not seeing the color blue associated with it anymore.
No, because the Triforce is 3 golden triangles.
I know. The red pickguard kind of goes in with this graphic here with like the red bricks.
I thought the red was just supposed to be like a backing flame, like it's like a torch behind it.
Yeah, I hope that's not supposed to be fire because it looks like very sad fire.
Give me fuel, give me fire.
I thought it was just supposed to be kind of like a random, like torn out shape.
This would be better if it was supposed to be like something, and then and then the pickups were like a mouth.
That would be pretty funny with one of these Music Man style basses.
I would
like if there were 2 big eyeballs on the pickguard.
Like if this was a Pac-Man themed guitar, but that was like a ghost.
Yeah, that could be.
It was like a ghost pickguard with that as the mouth.
They've made major modifications to the shape of this guitar's body and headstock.
Yeah,
and this is, fully a custom pickguard here with this, flame torn out kind of look they're going for. I don't really get if there's any references to Zelda with these shapes that they've done, or if this is just, like a high school like woodshop project.
I feel like there's not.
Because the headstock is just kind of bananas, right?
Yeah, it's
Look, did you
it's
even
like
see?
kind of eagle-esque.
Did you see the carves in between the tuners?
Yeah.
The whole thing is carved up. Like someone got a scroll saw for Christmas. Is what's going on here.
I think there are elements of this where they're just like, oh, you know what would be cool here would be body contours and some kind of like
I have to
body. All I see is body contours. They don't mean anything. This actually reminds me of the LTD bases.
I have to admit, I kind of don't hate what they did to the top and lower horns of the body. Like, it's kind of a look that works in a creepy metal sort of way. It's just funny that this is painted bright Lego blue. The headstock, I cannot get behind. They've done a bad thing to the headstock.
Yeah.
Anytime there's a bottle opener shape on anything, I just think it looks bad. And that even goes for like high-end boutique guitars that are around where they do like the hook on the end of like a Strat headstock. Yeah, they're totally doing that LTD thing.
LTD F204. This is
I'll
just
have to look up that picture now. But yeah, the headstock is a big disaster, especially with those little carves in between the tuners. I'll have to do a close-up on that.
I could see like that headstock design, not this specific headstock design. It's almost like you have a theme there, but you just didn't go anywhere with it. It's like if you wanted to have a Ghostbusters themed guitar,
right?
And so you just slapped a Ghostbusters thing on there.
That would be cooler.
Like a Ghostbusters sticker. Well,
if you put a Ghostbusters sticker on a black guitar, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, that's a Ghostbusters guitar now. You don't have to do anything else.
But like maybe you do.
Yeah.
Are the Ghostbusters just a little more like color universal? All colors are Ghostbusters colors.
Yeah, I think so. I mean their official colors are just like drab jumpsuits. Like
I was gonna say their official colors are like red, white, and blue.
Because of American?
Because of Ecto 1. Like it's a white car. I realize it's just because it's an ambulance.
I think it's just red and white. Is there blue on
It's red and white, but I thought the lights there was like at least a couple blue lights.
Nah, I think they're just red, man. If you do red and blue, then you're impersonating
all right,
cops.
so like red and white. Like if it was I would expect the Ghostbusters theme guitar to be red and white or like green.
Like a white guitar with a red Ghostbusters sticker on it. Like you did it.
That's what I'm saying is like this guitar, if you removed the Triforce thing and slapped a Ghostbusters sticker on it, everything else is like relevant. Like nothing changes. It's just a guitar with a symbol from
like the Triforce is the only thing that makes you think that this is supposed to be Zelda themed. Like you take the Trident off. Is that what it's called? The Triforce?
Triforce.
You take the Triforce off and like there's nothing else here that's going to make you think Zelda, unless like something about these shapes is very specific, and I'm not getting it. Like I've never been a big Zelda guy.
I've played the first.
I mean, I'm scrolling through images and I'm not getting any sort of
connect. Right. I don't think there's an obvious connection.
No.
I played the first 3 games. My sister played the rest of them. And between
there's
all
a
of that,
little statue of Zelda, not of Link, of Zelda. I know that much about Zelda. I'm that much of a nerd. Just
all right.
I mean, this little statue of Zelda, she's wearing a blue top with like a brownish red belt or whatever. So maybe that's like the reference.
But that's like, that's a totally different color blue.
Here's Zelda in blue. I mean, that's like such a thin thing to grab onto. Is like, oh, sometimes he wears blue or she wears blue.
No, that's right. Okay.
I mean, when I think of Link from the Zelda franchise, I think of him wearing green, but apparently blue is a thing that's worn as well.
Blue, red, there's a lot of different colors.
Yeah,
happening.
So maybe it is. I'm seeing a lot of blue now. Maybe it is just a rough connection to that, but I don't know. That's pretty thin.
Okay, so the closest thing I could possibly maybe sort of, but you need to try a little bit harder because you're not really that close, would be Link's shield.
Yeah.
Which is blue with like a red center point.
But if they were trying to do a theme around the shield, they should have gone way different with the pickguard shape, and they didn't need to do any of those carves at all, because his shield is kind of a clean design.
Yeah, I'm not saying.
Didn't we see a Legend of Zelda Shield guitar at some point?
I don't know.
Oh, no, I remember I was looking up videos on how to make stuff out of like crafting foam.
Oh, okay.
And I saw this whole video on how to make a Zelda Shield out of crafting foam. That's what I'm remembering.
Close enough. Close enough.
I'm living my
Close enough.
my crafting life, guys. You know me, always at Michael's and Hobby Lobby.
All right, $200.
I mean, it's a 5-string bass for $200. Someone might see this and get a huge boner for it because they're a Legend of Zelda fan or whatever.
Gross.
I know. And I don't think I could tell them to not buy an OLP bass for $200.
Right. Well, this is an OLP. It's a Sterling.
Oh, it's a Sterling. I thought it was OLP.
No, it says.
I mean, that
bass.
doesn't change my argument.
It's an OBO. What's an OBO?
That's probably
Why are all these listings guitar OBO?
Maybe that's why I got confused. Yeah, if it's a Sterling, then yeah, sure, $200. As long as you're not planning to get any resale value out of this, because you're not going to. I mean, I would look at this, and if I wanted it, I would haggle down just because I'd be like, hey man, this is weird, but I just need a 5-string bass, you know. And he'll not sell it to you because he's like, Zelda fans only. This is obviously a bass only for Legend of Zelda fans.
He's gonna be like, "What's your favorite Legend of Zelda game?" And if you say Zelda 2, you're like,
You're gone.
nobody's favorite game is The Adventure of Link.
Yeah.
Side scroller. Get the F out of here.
No, thank you. I just learned things thanks to Steve. I don't know much. I used to watch the cartoon in the 90s.
Well, excuse me, princess.
Oh my gosh. Yes, that cartoon.
So there was an article I read that recently, but it was a couple years old, about how they were going to make a live action Legend of Zelda film.
Uh-huh.
And basically the response was like, oh, and I forget what company bought it, but it was like some like production studio bought the rights to it.
Sure.
And all the comments were like, oh, just wait till they realize that like the main character never speaks. But all I could think of was oh, they should do a live action that's based on the personalities of the animated version, which is of course why everybody hated the animated version, because it was basically just like this Los Angeles like valley bro and this like super uptight like woman who's always trying to like keep him serious and like boss him around.
Right.
It's like some dude bro and his mom.
Suddenly I have a craving to watch the live action Mario Brothers movie.
Eesh. I think if that movie just existed and it was called like
Sewer guys have an adventure in Dinosaur
instead
Land.
of like adventures in babysitting, it was like adventures in plumbing.
Right.
I think that movie would have been like okay-ish.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was the worst. I don't know. Maybe I just don't remember it. As soon as you put that in the context of like, oh no, this is Mario Brothers, like, no. Why are the Goombas all like 12 feet tall?
I remember the practical effects being pretty fun, but I have not seen it since it came out. I'm going to download it and I'm going to show it to my kid, and he'll be like, why did you show this to me?
I think your kid would like it.
He probably would. So what's new, Steve?
I got a couple pedals.
Uh-oh.
Some which I have played and others I haven't. This one, no, I'll talk about that later. I'll talk about this real fast. This is the pedal
so fast,
I got
Steve.
from the Effects Loop Rally. So this is the Westminster Effects Wycliffe Fuzz.
Nice. Wycliffe or Wycliffe?
I don't know which. Wycliffe. I think Wycliffe.
Are you waiting for the John one?
Yeah.
Complete the set.
That's the one I want. That's actually why I'm really excited about this year's Super Bowl. Maybe we can talk about that later.
Sure. I'm sure to bring it up, Steve. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Positive.
And then that should be a future topic. And then this one, the Canaglia. I don't know, man. From Lollygagger Effects. So
Look at how big this boy is.
yeah, it's a big one. That's all wood. It's super beefy.
It's got a nice tone to it, and it's not even plugged in.
Oh, you gotta play it on the resonance side.
Well, it's like you get two different sounds. That's good.
All right. So
podcasting
anyway,
right there.
It's got basically one control that activates the pre and post, and then another one that controls the gain, and the gain varies the input voltage to like the whatever the clipping circuit is, the transistors. So it's like super versatile. It's like a 2-stage distortion, not like a ton of like obvious tone controls, but there's a pretty wide range, and the bass basic distortion sound or the basic drive sound is really great. It's really good.
I'm interested to hear what you think about it when you get to play around with it more.
Yeah, it's really cool. And
I'm interested to see how
this
it
one is wood,
fits on your board.
and it's purple, and that is actually the big question: is how do I fit this on my board? Because I have a PT Junior, and I already told this to Sean, who is the operator of Lollygag FX, the builder man.
Yeah, the builder man.
Friend of the show.
Sure.
Friend of the show, support of the show. He's pretty active in our Facebook group.
Yeah, he's an active member of our group. And I'm honestly 100% sure that he listens to the show or has listened to it.
And anyway, he told me to buy a bigger board. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to put this on my board. He's like, well, buy a bigger board.
You've got more than one board, right?
I have I have 4 boards right now, technically, but the 4th one I'm supposed to be selling.
Just tape them together.
Jumbo mega board.
Jumbo board. Voltron board.
No. Which one's the lion's head?
They all form together. Your amp is the head, duh.
Ooh. Okay. What do you got, man?
I've got a Strymon Iridium on the way. I don't have it here yet, but it shipped today, which is Thursday.
Why don't they ship faster? It should be here by now already.
Well, here's the thing is I was seeing all the teases that they were going to come out with a new thing. And we even talked about it. We speculated what it would be on the podcast last week. You were right. I was wrong.
Right.
You were right that it was going to be
You were wrong.
Amp and cab simulator, not a mic simulator, by the way. I think that's interesting. So I was sitting around listening to the Get Offset podcast.
Who listens to microphones?
I know, right? I was listening to the Get Offset podcast, and Emily has been dipping her feet into doing demos, and she started talking about how she hit up Strymon, and they are sending her the thing, and she didn't say what it was because it wasn't announced yet. And I was like, dang it, if Emily's doing it, I should probably get one too. I've tried not to ask for demo stuff. I've tried to just wait for people to hire me.
Right.
But I mean, it feels like there was enough energy and hype around this that I should check it out.
Except you're going to be too late. You're going to miss the hype train.
It's been 3 years since I covered a new Strymon pedal. I did the Riverside in 2016, I think.
Oh, wow.
It's been a while. And so I felt like it was long enough. So I hit up Strymon the day before the launch, and I was like, hey, I don't know what you're launching, but if you want to send me a demo unit, I'll do some coverage of it. And they wrote back and were like, okay, we're going to send it out tomorrow morning. And then they did.
The best thing about that email exchange is even in that you said, I don't know what it is, but I want one, basically.
Yeah.
And they just said, okay. They didn't tell you what it is.
They didn't fill me in or anything. They were very tight-lipped, which I respect. So good for them. But I'm excited to check it out. Something people were telling me behind the scenes is before I knew what it was, they're like, oh, it's something that you will use. It's something that you have other products to compare it to. And that helped push me over the edge. So yeah, I've been using the HX Stomp for my live cab stuff. I've used the Next Solid Studio for live stuff. So I've already kind of had experience in that arena of running direct and trying things out and testing it. And I've got the new Katana, the mkII, the Matt Knight 2
Matt
Katana.
Knight
2. Which you can...
Electric Boogaloo.
Which you can plug in a cab sim or a multi-effects like that and treat it like a powered speaker.
Right.
It has that jack in the back. So I'm excited to try it directly.
What does the jack in the back say?
Well,
I
wanted to make a jack in the box joke.
I'm just saying because most amps have... Excuse me, a lot of amps have had that feature. And
no, it says powered input or something like that. But it is for that purpose. It bypasses all the amp settings and all the tone settings of the Katana, and you just get volume control.
Does the Katana also have a separate effects loop?
It does. The 100 watt does.
Okay.
So I could plug into one side of the effects loop, which is what you're talking about.
Right.
No, the Katana has a specific plug just for this.
Interesting.
So I'm excited to test out that feature on the Katana and to see how the Iridium functions with that. I'm also going to do some direct line tests off of it and headphone recording tests and stuff. And I'm excited. I'm excited to check this thing out.
Are you going to do the new, are you going to do just a repeat of the one where it's like, this is what the Vox MV50 sounds like through headphones? Somebody recently pulled that video up and was like, I can't hear anything. I think your video's broken. Like they didn't get it.
That's the joke. Yeah, I did a test of a headphone amp, and it was just me wearing headphones. There was no signal going through the video, and you heard me playing unplugged. No, I'm not going to do that. YouTube lately has been tweaking their algorithm or something, because we've been getting all kinds of comments on old videos that we were not getting comments on before. So whatever you're doing, YouTube, keep it up, I guess.
Click, 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 click.
Yes, click, 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 which is what Steve was trying to say.
Click, 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 click,
Click,
click,
click,
click,
click,
click,
click,
click,
click.
click,
People are
click.
going to love listening to that. So yeah, that's my what's new. You want to talk a topic?
No, I want to do sponsor.
Oh, sponsors.
This week's
Already?
sponsor
Yeah.
is Chase Bliss Audio.
Makers of the Generation Loss, which you can't buy.
Yeah, it's
Because
already sold out.
Sold out like in 2 days or something like that.
Was it Generation Loss? Was is a collaboration with Cooper Effects on a VHS tape simulator?
Something like that. I mean, Cooper Effects is well known for making like kind of esoteric, out there sounding pedals. I mean,
Right.
Chase Bliss has collaborated with them before on things like the Dark World Reverb. They have the more experimental side on there. And it's cool to see Chase Bliss doing these small runs of things. I mean, small runs. It's like 1,000 pedals.
Right.
And they sold out in a couple days. So
yeah, it's crazy.
that's bananas.
Anyway, if you want to
Good for you guys.
No, I'm gonna make this an action item for Chase Bliss. We always say like go there, buy a pedal, whatever, but like
Go follow their stuff.
just go on their website and get on the mailing list.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's crazy how many small builders, medium builders, whatever, are doing these super limited runs now like this. That
Yeah.
maybe you just want something super crazy, but you're like, I don't really want like just a delay or whatever. Like, I don't want the mood. Everyone's got a mood.
Or you just want to be in the know.
Yeah.
You want to stand around the water cooler at work and be like, oh, you guys seen the new Chase Bliss pedal? And everyone will be like, what? And they have to run back to their desks because they didn't know.
They're not on a mailing list.
You're working in a regular office. This is not a guitar-oriented job, but for some reason, everyone in the office talks guitar. It's cool. You've got a cool job. I like this scenario.
Yeah. This is a good scenario.
So go check out Chase Bliss Audio. Big thanks to them for sponsoring our content.
Yep. Digital
I
Brain.
think for this whole year they've been at it. Longer.
Analog Heart.
They've been big supporters of us.
Yeah.
Good on you, Chase Bliss. We love you, boys.
Go buy some stuff so we don't lose our sponsorship next year. All right. This next topic was sent by us. We picked it. Haha, losers.
Ha, gotcha.
Recently on the ultimateguitar.com in an exclusive interview,
Oh my goodness, it's so hard to get these interviews.
Paul Reed Smith was quoted as saying that the
Yes.
average, how did he word, what was the word?
Okay, so let's talk about the grand scheme of the
They're talking about
the overarching like theme of the interview was talking about kind of the cost of building guitars and like exploring new materials, woods and plastics and stuff like that. And then the thing that caught my interest, and I got Steve on it because I knew he would be excited about it, is
because it's math.
because there's this part where Paul is talking about inflation rates and stuff like that. And he does this weird wackadoodle thing that caught my interest and a few other people's interest in comment sections, where he's like, in 1955, a $2,000 guitar would cost $2,000. It would cost $20,000 and $19,000 in today's money.
Right.
And everyone's like, what guitar was $2,000 in 1955? Like, it felt like he like slipped up on what he was trying to say. Because like normally people were like, oh, hey, I've got this $2,000 guitar here and that sounds expensive. But if you go back to 1955, then the Les Pauls were $300, $400. Strats were $250, $300.
Right. I think like
that.
200, like a $250 guitar in 1955 would be like a $2,500. Like there's almost about a tenfold inflation rate.
Right.
between.
And a lot of people use those
now and
examples to be like, hey, American fenders are actually cheaper now than they used to be. And similar prices for Gibson guitars and whatever. But it was so weird to hear him, or not hear him, but read him do this weird math gymnastics to end up with essentially a $20,000 guitar at today's value. And I think you had some hot takes on it, Steve. And I don't remember how you got there, so maybe you can guide me through the process.
Yeah, so the first thought is that, my thought was,
this is like an old school topic for us because we actually chatted about it over IM before getting on the show to chat about it, which is how we started
find
being
actual
interested in doing this show, is just chatting all day about dumb stuff.
Yeah, so basically the idea is that and they even put it as like the subheader. So I almost feel like Ultimate Guitar is trying to throw them under the bus.
Oh, they always are. That's what they do.
UG exclusive. If in 1955 you purchased a guitar for $2,000, then in 2019 that same item would cost $19,146. Now, item for item, that's actually fairly accurate, and I think basically like a Ford Mustang. Now, Ford Mustangs are way expensive now, but I think a Ford Mustang in the night when they came out in like 1965, which is a decade later. But they were like $500, and that works out to like $30,000 now or whatever, you know.
Jeez.
But there's a thing in here where he talks about how. So this is the full thing. People says the question from UG is, one thing I always hear from young guitarists is a complaint about the cost of guitars and why they cost so much now. And then Paul says they're much less now. And a guitar and an amp were a full month's salary when they came out. The Strat was priced between an LP standard and an LP custom. Whatever. And then he pulls out a computer and says if you purchase a guitar for $2,000 then in 2019 it would cost $19,146.
So, I remember your angle now is you were going off his full month salary comment.
Right. So he's saying, it's weird because he says you can buy a guitar way cheaper than $19,000 from Fender Custom Shop right now. Half of that would still be around $9,000. And you can still get a custom shop Fender for cheaper than that. But what's never really set up, because it's talked about, earlier, like these different years, or just talking about how it was a full month salary for these items. And I think he says it's a full month salary to buy a guitar and an amp in 1955. Well, you know what's not different? If you are a average American, it costs about a third of a full month salary to buy it probably costs a full month salary to buy like the cheapest American made guitar and amp. I don't even know if you could buy an American made amp for the average monthly salary.
It depends on what kind of work you're doing. I mean, where does he come up with any sort of gauge of what a full month salary is? It could be all over the map.
Well, I'm just using the base US Census data that like the average American household is bringing in like $55,000 a year. So then I guess like if it's a 2-income household, the average American is making somewhere in the neighborhood of like $25,000 to $30,000 a year, which then breaks down to like $2,000 to $3,000 a month. This is really simple math, Ryan.
So you're saying that the average American salary is $2,000 a month?
I think that's what Paul is saying. Is that right now the average salary in the United States is $2,000 a month. Which sounds low.
It
sounds really low.
That doesn't get you at $55,000 a year.
It doesn't. I'm saying the average household income is $55,000. So the average
individual
individual would be like probably closer to 30 because of the number. If the average household's 55, but how many women don't work? Because I mean, let's be honest. But anyway,
I think he was trying to say that the household income was $2,000 in 1955.
I don't think that's accurate at all, though.
I
don't even think that's close to being accurate.
It's also muddled, and like it just seems like a huge misspeak from him. Like he did not accurately get across the point he was trying to make. But what
if we thought about this,
which is like ultimate guitar gold? Like they just drool over that sort of thing, like a vague statement that could be misinterpreted.
But think about this. Maybe so. He says a guitar and an amp.
I bet the guy doing that interview got hard. when Paul said that. He's like, yes, that's ultimate guitar sting right there. Oh, it's so vague. Oh, it could mean anything.
What if he's saying a guitar and an amp were a full month's salary when they came out, and then he says, if you purchased a $2,000 guitar, then in 2019 that same item would cost you $19,000. Maybe he's saying that you should only be buying in 2019 $19,000 guitars.
Is this a De Beers thing? Like you're supposed to spend 3 months' salary on an engagement ring?
Well, maybe he thinks
Paul's like, listen, guys, if you're not spending a full month's salary on a guitar, what are you even
maybe
doing?
in the Paul Reed Smith world, the average American salary is $19,000 a month.
Jeez.
I mean, that's only like $250,000 a year, Ryan.
I wish I could just be a little closer to average.
I mean, this would go very well with the idea, with the common perception that PRS guitars are just for
rich dudes,
blues doctors and
rock lawyers,
blues rock doctors and blues lawyers,
ska dentists.
Ska dentists is my favorite. No, there are probably people who have definitely have put it together that way and are running with the idea that Paul Reed Smith only hangs out with like people on like solidly on the millionaire track, and that his core audience, even though they've expanded their lineup to like the S2 and the SE models, and they have a ton of guitars under the $1,500 price point. If
I made $19,000 a month, I would own a PRS, even if it was just like on a whim. It'd be like, oh yeah, I've got money for a PRS. I'd like to try a PRS out. I'd own one. Like a proper one, not an SE or something like that.
I feel like if you're making $19,000 a year and you're looking for a PRS, I mean, I guess
I feel like I'm $19,000 a month.
A month, sorry, yeah.
If I made that much money a month, I feel like the bank would just give me a PRS. Like that's what they do.
Right. And to that point, there is.
Like you join the right credit union and they send you a PRS when you
it goes back and forth, and so much of it is budgeting and the changes of life and other things that have inflated. But it's like, have you ever noticed how no matter how much money you make, you're always broke? Like that's how I feel.
Well, yeah, because I mean, I've been in a place in my life where I'm making way less money than I used to.
Right.
And
well, that's because you're trying to be a YouTuber now.
Well, it was before that I started making less money. I don't want to get into the weeds too much here with my personal finances, Steve. But I don't know. When I was doing real good, I didn't feel like I was behind. But then I was doing real good for only a couple of years. It wasn't like I was used to it.
Right.
But then I mean, things are definitely thinner now, but I don't feel like I'm broke all the time.
I guess all I'm saying is like, I think
you acclimate to how much you make.
Yeah, I think
you do what you can with what you have, and so it feels like you've always maxed out your budget.
Right, and so like you personally, obviously I know you for a long time, but a lot of people, they finally land, their kids move out or whatever. Maybe they don't have kids.
Sure.
One of the guys that
my kids move out, I'm going to buy a PRS.
One of my coworkers was talking about being a dink.
Right. Double income, no kids.
Yeah, and how he's going to be the full-size candy bar house for Halloween. And because that's what you do when you're a dink. I'm like, wait, what? I told him that I am
then you ask where he lives and you're going to stop by.
I told him I'm a Civic, single income, 2 kids. But anyway, the point being that, regardless of where you're at, like you find ways to spend money. And maybe that's because you're like, you invest more, you save more. So you're like, if I went from what I'm making now to making like $250,000 a year, I would move I would not be a renter anymore. Like I would save until I could buy something. And if I budgeted properly, like I would have a down payment for a San Diego house in like 5 months.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a bunch of money to make.
But the point being like, even like small increments.
If you make that much money, Patreon. Hit us up.
Yeah. If you are making more money than you know what to do with, and you're like, I really don't want to invest in all of these corporations because I don't think they're CEOs of these big stock companies. I don't think the CEOs are going to do what I want them to do with their company. Just put that in a Patreon.
Yeah.
If you're set up where like instead of your 401k is stocked, and you're like, I got this extra $500 a month, and I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Just saying.
$500 a month.
Anyway, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think if you're making like $250,000 a year, I'm saying you wouldn't. I'm saying I think it would be a bummer if you just bought like a PRS custom 24 or
Right.
22 or whatever. Like, I think you got to go at
Treat
least like
yourself.
John Mayer, not John Mayer Silver Sky, like John Mayer, like
That other one.
Super
Eagle.
Super Eagle. Like, you got to get up
Why
in that
do I
like
know that?
$6,000 to $10,000 PRS range.
Right. No, if I was making $250 a year,
It would just be right here.
I'd be calling up Paul and be like, "Hey, man, what do you think I should get?"
How much money do you need to make before you can call up Paul and be like, hey man, I want you to pick out a guitar and fly it to me and bring yourself.
I bet people do that.
Bring yourself here, Paul.
Maybe not with Paul, but with other builders. I bet it happens more often than we know. Did you catch any of that auction that was going down for the Steely Dan guy?
No.
They sold. There was this auction going on like Tuesday or something, and it was 1,000, a literal 1,000 pieces of gear,
Wow.
amps and guitars, and it was just ridiculous. This guy had probably like 20 guitars from Ian Anderson. Like, this dude like made Ian Anderson.
I saw
years.
Ian posting a few links to it. I just didn't ever like deep dive into the auction.
But he had a ton of stuff like that where he just had like dozens of guitars and amps from single builders. Like, that's what it looks like when a super rich dude buys stuff. Like, I did the math on it. To have 1,000 pieces of gear like that, you'd have to be buying like 2 a week for 10 years. Like, I get a lot of stuff through here. I don't get 2 things a week every week. Most weeks, I probably get 2 or 3 things a month around here. And it feels like too much to keep up with. Like, imagine ordering and buying 2 things a week for 10 years. Like, there's no way he spent any time with most of it.
Right.
But that's rich guy life right there.
I feel like Steely Dan was one of those bands though where it's like, there was like a level, and certain artists have done this. Like U2 isn't. Regardless of what you think about it,
Where is he going with this?
Like how the Edge still has like the chorus pedal on his board that he used for like the chorus of Streets Have No Name or whatever.
Right.
And that's when they're alive on tour, he only uses that pedal on that one song. Because that was kind of like a thing that a lot of guys, I felt like, I don't know if that's the case now. I don't know any studio musicians who are famous.
Sure.
I just don't read that stuff. But I know there's a lot
Call us the Edge. We'll be your friend.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of stories from like artists, especially like in the Steely Dan vein, where it's like, oh yeah, we're going in the studio, so like I knew I needed a 12-string, a Telecaster, and a Strat, and so they just buy like 15 guitars to record like a 10-song album, and some of those guitars are like, oh yeah, I just got this 12-string Martin for the intro to Hotel California, and you never hear it ever again on any song.
Right.
I realize Hotel California is not Steely Dan.
Yes, please don't write us.
Yeah,
we're not Dan fans over here. I don't know. Are you Steve? Are you a Dan fan?
The only Steely Dan song that I can think of offhand is "Reelin' in the Years." Is that Steely Dan?
I don't know.
I think it is.
Like I said, not a Dan fan. I don't care about no Steely Dan.
I would
don't slide into my DMs expecting
I
to talk Dan.
I know I would hear Steely Dan on like classic rock radio and be like, "Oh, this is cool," but I never like really dove into it. They did a lot of like harmonizing guitars.
I don't know.
I
don't know anything about Steely Dan. I don't want to say their name again.
Can I read this email that we just got?
Yeah, read it to me.
Unboxing review video. I was checking out your videos here at HTTP whatever YouTube link. And after noticing your 36,893 subscribers, good Lord, I thought you might be interested in one of our skincare clients.
What? What?
Minimal is a small family-run business
I like
based
this
in Los
new.
Angeles.
I like this new bit where Steve reads unlikely sponsorships.
This is from the outreach coordinator, and they want to know if you will do an unboxing/tutorial of one of their products.
Oh my gosh, for skincare?
Yeah, these are skincare sponges. Speaking of skincare, have you used the soap from
Manscaped.
Manscaped yet?
No, I'll grab it for you before you go.
Yes.
I am wearing the underwear though.
Nice.
I don't think they're ever going to sponsor us again.
How's the underwear feel?
Very slippery. All my other underwear has been more of like a cottony fabric.
Right.
And this is like a spandex spacey
Well, it's
sort of
like
thing.
it's
Like a
like
Lycra?
dry fit.
And I can feel my pants sliding over it with every move I
Interesting.
make.
Is that a nice feeling? Is it driving you crazy?
It feels like I got to cinch my belt down a little tighter to keep my pants from flying off, because my pants will just fly right off. And
That's how he got 2 kids.
the thing that's a little bit of a bummer is it doesn't have a fly.
Oh, I didn't even notice that when I put them on.
Yeah, I got to pull my pants all the way down around my ankles.
They're definitely like a more well, like I said, it's like a dry fit, so it's like it's like a athletic.
I feel like I could get used to the feel of it, and I think it definitely helps today, this super hot day.
Yeah.
Did you notice how hot it was?
Oh my, dude.
I busted out the ruler and I measured 7 inches from the midday sun. That's how hot of a one we're talking here. It was pretty close to that sun. Like usually we're talking like a yardstick. This was 7 inches.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
No, I don't want to do makeup sponges, Steve. Maybe I should just accept it and then just give them to my wife and then
let her do it.
never deliver on this sponsorship, which is super rude and sketchy.
No,
to do.
dude, we should get it. Well, the thing is you just gotta tell him to pay, and then I'll do it.
Yeah,
I'll do it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll unbox the makeup
We'll both
sponge.
do it. We'll both do it, Steve.
Make it worth my money.
Someone's asked us recently if we put makeup on when we're recording.
We should. We'd probably look better.
Yeah, we'd look a little better.
If we put
Little bit of
makeup on,
foundation.
I'd try to put on some contouring and make my nose look a little less crooked.
Is your nose crooked?
I don't know. People always say it's crooked.
I guess it's a little crooked. I need to bring out those cheekbones a little bit.
All right, this next ad was sent by Kane Flores.
Do something to make my eyes pop.
Excuse me. He said it's from Crappy Guitars.
I want to look up this company, Crappy Guitars.
Here's the one some of you have been waiting for. See it in action here. If you want to see it in action, then what you have to do is, boom, click this link.
Slap the link.
Slap the link. Ding that bell. Smash link.
Steve, you're stealing someone else's catchphrase. That's illegal. I'm calling the police.
Checkmate, YouTubers.
We're, of course, referencing this bass that was made for Davie 504.
Yes.
I want to say my piece on Davie 504.
Say your piece.
There are YouTube channels out there with musicians who have transitioned into being just kind of more general entertainment. And so, of course, that gets them much higher subscribership. Mm-hmm. And they're making a much, much better living than I could ever hope to, I'm sure. And of all of them, I feel like I like Davie 504.
Oh, I'm subscribed. I watch most of his videos.
I like his shtick. I like what he's doing. He's legitimately fun and funny when he plays. It's actually pretty freaking great. And I watched him play this bass today.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you've seen this video.
And he made a fun jam out of it. It's not. I was sitting there thinking like, yeah, but I was like putting on my stop glasses. Like, yeah, but I mean, if this came on the radio, would I listen to it or would I change the channel? And then I was like, shut up, Ryan. This guy's having fun ripping and jamming. You don't
even listen to the radio, jackhole.
Yes, I do. When I'm driving to the store for 7 minutes at a time.
7 minutes in heaven, am I right? Probably 7 minutes trying to find a freaking station that's not running a commercial.
I know, right? Jeez, don't get me started.
Speaking of commercials, here's a sponsor.
Talking about grinding my gears with all these commercials these days, guys, right? All right, here's the Crappy Guitars site. I wonder how he even found these people.
I don't know. Maybe they reached out to him. Anyway, yeah, Davie is fantastic. I like his catchphrases. And I think the thing that I like about his channel the most versus, I can't say all other musicians turned entertainers, but I feel like he's got the right balance of like very deadpan humor. Because I've watched some where it's like,
Yeah.
they're like kind of musicians, but they're also, I feel like, very aggressively cheery.
Yeah.
And then I think there's other ones that are just kind of like aggressive, and it feels like you're a YouTuber. Why are you so like, what are you so worked up about?
But I think that's his whole shtick.
No, but I'm saying like there are other channels that like when Davie says like, when people are like, oh, play this, all guitar song on a bass, and then he does it, and what one strings?
Crappy
Is it
Guitars
one
has all these weird one-string guitars.
Nice. Where it's like, I feel like someone will be like, Davie, play this song, and then he'll pull out like a bass and play a song that's like, the Stairway to Heaven intro, where it's like, oh, you can't play this on bass because it's guitar, and then he's like, checkmate, guitarists.
Right.
And it's like, it's funny.
Right.
Whereas there are other channels who will be like, such and such professional musician that's way more famous than me. You suck. How dare you be on a famous sports channel, whatever. And I'm just here on YouTube. And it's like, you're not really that funny. You just sound like you're complaining all the time.
It's like the angry rant thing, or like the Stevie T thing was just like making faces and doing a bad Jim Carrey impersonation.
I mean, I wasn't gonna name names, but that's literally who I was.
I have no problem naming
about.
names when it comes to Stevie T. I'll name that name.
You just got him like 5 views.
Well, maybe he can throw me a couple of views someday. I don't know.
Yeah, one of these days he's gonna be like Ryan from 60 Cycle Hum. He's just over here like. That was my impression of CVT.
It's never going to be better than that. Like what Steve just did. I mean, you are now the new Stevie T. You are Stevie R.
Yeah. So anyway,
let's go back to this.
I think
we've set our piece on these crossover YouTube personalities.
Yeah.
That have found fame and fortune, and good for them because maybe now they can buy a PRS.
Someone's got to do it.
Yeah. They can buy a PRS in 1955. So this bass is bananas.
It's like what
is it? 36 strings?
36 strings. I think it's basically four 12-string guitars.
Yeah. Also,
or four 12-string basses. So it does go like super low.
But it also goes guitar high.
It does.
Yeah, here's the thing. I was watching him play it and I was like, I don't think this is really a bass. Checkmate. Davie 504.
Well, I mean,
I think this is closer to like a dulcimer or even like a harp.
This is definitely Chapman stick territory.
Oh, it's just a big old fat Chapman stick.
But he doesn't actually tap. Even like the stuff in the middle, like he's playing chords.
Yeah, I think this thing has got to be a beast to try to play, and I think he put it to tunings and played it in a way where he did a legit good job playing this thing.
Right, yeah.
I was impressed.
Because the little jam he put together was a lot of fun.
Who was that other guy that had like a 20-string bass put together? And then...
Probably, are you thinking of Jared Dines?
Maybe Jared Dines.
The one where like the first company did it and...
It was like a fraud.
It was like a fraud.
I remember watching him play that thing or someone play something like that and not being impressed, just being like, yeah, you accomplished having a bass that has strings that are too low.
Yeah.
But you're not playing anything of value with it. Like Davie played a thing on this. Like a jam. And he did every string and every fret, really. Like he was all over this thing to the point where like I could hear the fret buzz on a lot of it.
Yeah.
I was like, this thing is not going to be perfect. And it wasn't. There's little buzzes here and there. I commented on the video. I was like, hey, there's a little bit of buzz on a couple of those frets. You might want to adjust the truss rod. But I mean, for what it was, like he sincerely played this thing and made it sound great. And I was impressed, but what do you do with something like this after you make your video? Like, I
don't know.
He hang this on the wall? Like, do you turn it into a coffee table or something?
Just flip it
like
upside down and it's a coffee table.
You could surf on that thing. You take all the strings off I could take that out in the water and surf
You
on
could
that.
put some wheels on the bottom and just skateboard all over town.
Davey, hit me up.
You could
I will surf your bass.
The way it's set up is you could probably take the body and then attach a sail to the neck and just do wind sailing.
Yeah, I would surf it upside down, like the fret side down, and the frets would be to like break up surface tension on the water, the way like golf balls have dimples. They're speed frets, you know.
Oh my gosh. They decrease drag.
My video would be surf bass. How to play surf bass. For real, Davey, hit me up.
How do you surf bass? Or would you just play like surf guitar parts on this bass?
No, I would surf it as a surfboard.
Oh, how to... Yeah.
Surf bass.
I got it.
All right.
You got anything more on this?
I don't. Good job, Davey. You did it, and you did it well. Good job, crappy guitars. This thing is ridiculous. And I love that it's kind of like hobbled together looking. Like it doesn't look like a crazy like gent machine like other people's attempts at this sort of thing has been. Didn't Stevie T get one made too?
I don't know. I don't really follow that channel.
Everyone's been on this like mega amount of strings.
Because it's ridiculous.
Ridiculous
Just because
thing.
it's ridiculous.
But they're all like, you're all doing the same thing, guys. Like, find something original to do. I feel like this should be the last one. Like, please don't anyone go like 49 string bass. You know, actually do a 69 string bass.
Yeah.
That would be pretty nice.
A 69 string bass with 4.20K pickups. Boom. Checkmate, internet.
Oh my gosh.
All right, well, hold on.
A 69 string bass with 42.0 frets.
What?
I don't know.
All right, well, I pulled out this 6-string bass a couple minutes ago.
Oh,
Started
here we go.
noodling around.
We're going into the money zone.
Because you just threw on some D'Addario XT strings on this.
I finally did it. Here's the empty package right here. There's the proof. I broke the seal. It's wide open. And the thing, my first impression with it is the moment I pulled the strings out and started putting on the guitar is that if you hadn't told me that they were coated strings, thank you, Steve.
Listen to that tone, guys.
The tone of an unplugged Mexican Strat. If you had not told me that they were coated strings, I wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah.
I would have been like, oh, these feel like a little different, but I can't quite place why.
And you put these on today?
I put them on today. Like
Today?
probably 2 hours before you came over.
2 hours. Okay, so I will say that
How does the 3-hour corrosion test
it
look,
feels
Steve?
great. And I've played many of your guitars the same day that you've restrung them, and this is easily the best feeling. Not kidding at all.
I haven't slimed it yet.
You have had guitars where you've brought them to band practice, and I'm like, when's the last time you changed the strings on this? You're like,
Today, man.
this morning. I was like, are you sure?
I feel like my acidity has wound down in my middle age.
Me? I hope so.
When I was a young buck, I had the sweat of a xenomorph.
That was bad. So anyway, this thing feels great. With this light, and it's like what this feels like, they don't feel like, I'm freaking noodling.
Yeah, I know. Put the guitar down, Steve.
What it feels like is, it doesn't feel like coating, because I've played coated strings a lot on acoustic. It doesn't feel like coating.
It feels more like some sort of like oil treatment or something like that.
What it feels like is fingeries. I don't know if you ever use fingeries. Oh, you have like almond stick?
Yeah.
It's like, that's what a guitar feels like after a fresh coat. Like when you just put that stuff on for
like
a few days afterwards.
Yeah.
Like it's got that refresh feel, but it's like straight out of the box. I guess like some people probably don't like that, but I don't know what's wrong with those people.
Yeah. I'll just say like I haven't used coated strings probably in 12, 15 years, and this is a billion times better than what they used to be like. Because it used to just feel like a nylon string with ridges or something like that. You know, like they're just so plasticky, and they would come out of the pack almost already kind of dull. Mm-hmm. And they would stay the same level of dull for a long time, where these sound like just new strings.
Yeah, I before we started recording, I was messing around with the Canaglia with that Strat, and I wanted to get my basic bass level tone, BASE, and so I just had it plugged in, and it sounded snappy. It sounded clean.
Yeah.
They don't sound like coated strings either. They sound bright and snappy the way that a Stratocaster should sound.
The way a Strat should sound.
Anyway,
guys.
check out the link in the show notes. Go ahead on over to D'Addario.com.
I ended up choosing that guitar to put them on because it's a guitar I don't play terribly often. And so it just sits on the wall and kind of just builds up crust and rust from just the environment.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see, like, well, first I'm going to play this thing more now that's got fresh strings on it, but I'm excited to see how much life I can get out of these strings, like how long they will last, you know? And I'm going to have a timestamp here now with this episode to know exactly how they do last. When I do need to change them, I'll go back and be like, wow, it's been 200 years.
It's been
1 week since I changed those strings. I'm sure they'll last longer than a week.
All right, this next topic was sent in by somebody.
I hope so. I hope you can find it because I didn't screen grab this one.
Actually, you did?
I did? Oh, you did.
Oh, just kidding. You didn't. This was sent in on the group. It was from...
It's a little bit of a
somebody.
sassy topic. There's some sass in there, right?
Is it sassy?
I think it was sassy. Stay tuned for this sassy topic, boys. Steve's been watching Letterkenny.
Oh, it's from David Luna.
So that's why I threw that at him. Boys.
I heard an interesting quote from Bob's Burgers. Essentially, Tina was selling a product, and to boost sales, she came out with a different version, but just called it Woodchuck 2 and said people would buy the same product as long as it had a higher model number. This is essentially the pedal world for me. What do you think about that?
I don't feel like it happens enough for me to complain about it. Like, I know a lot of people complained about the Matt Knight 2 Boss Katana.
Yeah.
That came out because they, you know, the first version has only been out for 3 years or whatever, and it's already had a huge fan base and a lot of fandom around it. And then to come out with a new one, like, people felt a little shafted or whatever. But honestly, like, I'm not going to get into it. But anyways, like, but the angle that this made me think about is when I was first starting to get into pedals and fuzzes and stuff like that, I noticed that tons of fuzzes, specifically fuzzes, are marked Mark II,
Right.
mkII. And for the longest time, I assumed that was like a descriptor of like a circuit, like a specific kind of circuit or like a certain kind of component, like geranium or something like that.
Right.
And when I realized it meant the second version, I was like, really? That's what we're doing? Where's all these Mark 1s at? Is it going to move on to the Mark 3? But it always seems to stop at the Mark 2 with fuzzes. What's your hot take on this topic?
I mean, I think a lot of pedal makers, they make the first version, and yeah, then they make a version 2. And if they haven't gotten it right in 2 tries, then so the flip side of that is Full Tone, the OCD.
Right.
There was like version 1, version 1.1, 1. Like there's like
2.4.
Like no, they just came out with the OCD version 2.
Yeah.
And I don't know, offhand, I don't know what the differences are.
This is a true version 2.
Right.
Okay.
And so it's like everything in between, like from all these different, version 1, 1.1, 1.2, whatever. They were all visually the same,
right?
With like slight changes to the PCB or whatever, like a component removed or a component value changed. I don't really know. Again, I think the OCD that I had was version 1.4 or like 1.7, something like that.
I think I had a 1.4.
The other thing that isn't,
I think I saw some sort of video on this where someone was like, at the time, they're like, actually, there's been 12 total versions of the OCD. And
another
they
pedal
went through all the different changes.
Another pedal that's like that, though, they do pretty big graphic changes with all of the different versions, is the Big Muff.
Oh, sure.
Like, I think the current, not even including the Nanos, like just the big box muffs, I think there's 9 versions of the big box muff.
Dude, there's got to be more than that. Like, there's so many. And they're re-releasing everything in the nano size now.
Right.
And so now that they're, like, adding more muffs into the mix. More muffs into the mix. If we ever title episodes again, that would be a good one.
I know, like, the version that I have in there, it looks like a version 4, but it's because I think version 4 and version 7 or 8, which was like the one that I have in there is like the one that was called like the NYC Big Muff
Yeah.
from like the early 2000s. And those were just cosmetically the same as ones from like the 80s, but they had like different labels on one knob.
Yeah. Here's my question.
Yeah.
As a consumer, do you care if you've bought something and then a version 2 comes out?
I think it only matters that duration, which is probably why, you know, you're saying with Katana people, like, I think a lot of people with amps, they expect them to be the same for longer.
Right.
And that anything that would be different, significantly different, would just be a new model. I think that's the
Right.
thing that has changed a lot also with digital amplification, digital pedals, is you just like
Update it.
if you've updated it, you just make it a new version.
Right, right.
I know like for Matthews effects, a lot of the differences between the version 2 and version 3s of pedals,
Yeah, it's significant.
at least from a functional standpoint, like the switches have moved to the sides. There are like major cosmetic upgrades on some of them. I think some of like the digital ones, the coding has changed. So those are different.
Yeah.
I think we're used to a world where it's like, oh, you released a fuzz pedal? Well, your next fuzz pedal should be like, if your first fuzz pedal was a Big Muff circuit, then your next one shouldn't be an upgraded Big Muff circuit. It should be
Right.
like a fuzz face.
Yeah. I think in the case of the Katana thing, the thing people need to realize is it's not just an amp. It's an amp that fills a
way of life.
very specific price point and place in the market. And when they came out with the Katana, there wasn't much else on the market that could compete with it at that price point. And then since then, Fender's come out with the Champ 50 XL, things like that. You know, Black Star's edging into that territory. You know, various amp manufacturers are making something that fills that role. And I think it was necessary for Boss to up the ante while keeping the core sounds and the core features of the Katana and that price point. I mean, they only raised the price $30 on the 50. And it's still like a super cheap bang for the buck, sound great in a band like amp. Like it's undeniably like a giggable amp for its price point. And I think that we'll probably see at least one more version of the Katana in the next decade.
What do you think is
to like keep up with market?
What do you think is more frustrating? The fact that Boss has like Katana and they does the Katana Mark II actually say Mark II on it?
Yeah.
I didn't look.
It's got two lines underneath the Katana symbol to stand for Mark II.
Really? That's the difference?
Yeah.
So basically, you have to really be paying attention.
No, I think it says it on the
okay.
the top plate too. There's one in the other room if you want to check it out later.
No, I know. The thing that I was going to say is, do you think it's more frustrating when a company makes a product and then makes just another version of the same product and just calls it Mark II? Or when a company makes like 15 versions of the same product,
all electro harmonics,
all like different names.
Oh.
Or they just keep reusing the same name over and over again.
Well, here's my pitch.
I'm thinking of Fender. Like, I feel like the Fender, like, is there really that much difference between like the Fender Frontman and the Fender like Champion 300?
Sure.
Or whatever.
Well,
like,
that's what I'm talking about. Like that price point, that beginner's like thing. They're always trying to find like the new thing to push or whatever.
Yeah.
Because the person shopping in that price point a lot of times is a new person who's looking for new product and they're susceptible to new marketing.
Yeah.
The thing I was going to say is I think the thing that bothers me most about these multiple versions is not like, oh, I just bought the other one or I still have the other one. Now I feel like I'm shafted or whatever. I just feel like marking something 2 or Mark 2 or version 1.8 or something like that is so lazy. Like if I had a pedal company, I would do it like movie title fame, and it would be like, Walrus came out with the Iron Horse 2.
Okay.
Instead of calling it Iron Horse 2, or version 2 or whatever, I'd be like Iron Horse 2, The Reckoning, you know, or something like that. Like really lean into it. Iron Horse 2, Back to the Horse, you know. And no, it's got 2 horses on it now. You know, like.
So basically what you're saying is instead of just giving it like a clinical model update name that has been used in like
really
featured product designs for years, you would just go full theatrical.
Like this is a new product, guys. This is a different movie. This is like it's all the same characters are back, even the one that died.
Maybe your first one could be called Katana if Boss was savvy. The first one would be called Katana. The second version would be called Katanas.
You could totally do a line of muffs where you start with like the Civil War muff.
Where is this going?
And then you do a prequel muff. That's like based on a muff before the Civil War muff, you know? Has anyone
an antebellum muff?
Has anyone done a Civil War muff with Marvel graphics on it, with like Iron Man and Captain America like scowling at each other?
Probably.
That'd be a fun graphic. That's what I'm talking about. Like, have fun with it. Don't just be like, oh, this is the second version. We added a little bit of change to the tone stack and you know, this switch here.
Come out with a pedal.
Just slightly different mid characteristics. Like, no, like. Friggin' like this thing is like, guys, one of the diodes is going to die at the end, but we're not going to tell you who.
Oh my gosh. What if you just went like full thematic and you had a line of pedals and your first pedal was just called
Snape kills Dumbledore. No.
Yeah, each one of your pedals is just a pedal,
movie spoiler.
A pedal pun on the Harry Potter series. So instead of the first one being like, well, no, you already have like Pigtronics has the Philosopher's Tone. And then they should have made like a version 2 of that called I don't know what the second Harry Potter book's called. What?
I don't know.
Why did I do this? I wanted to make this Star Wars theme. So like if it was Walrus Audio, the first pedal would just be like Iron Horse, and then the second one would be like Iron Horse 2, Walrus Strikes Back.
Walrus Strikes Back.
And then Iron Horse 3, Return of the Walrus.
Return of the Iron Horse.
And then they do a set of prequels.
Oh my gosh.
Iron Horse 1, The Phantom Walrus.
And now you've got to start calling the first one the fourth one, and everyone's all upset about it. I'm just saying, get more creative with this stuff. It doesn't have to be movie things, but you know, like, or like do it like automotive style. And release a new version every year and be like, oh, this is the 1998 OCD. Here's the 1999 OCD. Like every year, like you launch that new hotness and everyone lines up on January 1st to get it, you know?
What if you didn't say anything about the year and you just did it all like you just gave them the same name and you'd have to look on the piece? Well, I mean, I guess that's kind of like
serial number based.
Well, so I'm thinking of like, so I drive a Corolla and I think the current, I want to say like the current Corolla is like generation 13.
Right.
And so they'll produce, you know, I think like the Corolla from like 2001 to 2007 or something were all the same bodies. And that's how like the generations are generally viewed.
Right. By body style.
Yeah. Just some thoughts out there, guys.
Do a new case design. I think that's lacking in the pedal world right now is case design. Look at that thing.
This is a beauty. It's wood.
Like everyone's using the same freaking boxes. Like invest in your brand, get some custom boxes made. Like the way that a Klon has that custom box.
Yeah.
That's iconic.
Or like Thorpe effects.
Thorpe effects have a custom box.
Boss
has a custom box. Like that's how you get yourself to be iconic. Like stop putting stuff in the same box that everyone else is using and get creative, get custom, invest in your branding. That's my pitch to pedal builders coming into 2020, guys.
Yep.
We're getting close to 2020. At 2020 NAMM, I want to see fresh boxes.
Wow.
All right, you
pound them boxes, boys.
Oh my gosh. Last ad?
No, let's do some quick housekeeping.
Grab that box down there for me. Talking about boxes.
Oh no, we're not doing any of that this one.
Okay. Never mind then.
But we got some housekeeping. So big thanks to Steven Shipman, who is supporting the show at the $1 level.
Woo.
The thing we're doing at the end, and I'll say this again in a couple minutes, is if you support the show, you're going to get your name on our end credits. We might not get it up right away because
was a
there's
new thing.
Always a little delay, but you're going to get on there.
That was a new thing last week.
I think we have like 5 columns right now. I want to make that font so small that you can't actually read it.
No, if we push it into where I have to scroll the names, that's success.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you, Steven Shipman, for supporting the show.
Not that we aren't successful.
Everything counts. $1, $2, $500, whatever.
Everything counts
this last
in small
ad,
amounts. That's a song.
Yeah, I know. Who's that by?
Depeche Mode?
Okay, cool.
Maybe not.
This last ad was sent by Greg Dodd. Or as they say, or no, Greg Dodd, or as they say in the United States, Greg D-O-D-D. This is a modified Vibrato Tele and Regina, Saskatchewan. Is it Regina or is it Regina?
I think you're mispronouncing the first letter. I think it's vagina.
The location.
You got a lot of blue humor here at the end of the episode, guys. I'm sorry.
Is it Regina?
I think it's Regina. I've heard that before.
I think it's named after, this town is named after Queen Victoria.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Because she was like the queen, they call, like her name was like Queen Regina or something. Regina.
You know what they say? You learn something new about a queen of another country every day. I tried
just putting this out there for feelers. A super dang cool project I did. Mustang bridge and offset vibrato. Keeps this bad boy nice and in tune. Seymour Duncan hot stack in the bridge. Custom fit case worn out. Sale contingent on agreeing to check with me before resale. It's very important to me that he goes to a good home. Hey, props to this guy for giving his guitar
masculine pronouns.
Masculine pronoun.
Yeah,
you don't see that a lot, and that's it's
refreshing.
So rare that it kind of is. I want to point it out, even though someone will probably say it's dumb.
He's like, this is my buddy, or this is he's like, this is my boyfriend.
I don't want this going too far away. I just have too many sweet guitars.
So yeah, that first point is fun. Is that to him that this is a masculine guitar when it's so like cliche at this point, like, oh, here she is, here's my lady. And it's like, it just feels gross.
I'm going to grab her by the neck and make her scream.
Oh my gosh, shut up. Just you joking about it feels gross. But the fact is, like, kind of, oh yeah, here's my guy. Like, what does it say that doesn't feel grossly sexual? It feels more friendly.
Yeah, because there's nobody going... Because there's nothing about this that makes it read like, he's got a vibrato on it.
Because he didn't go that way.
And he doesn't say, he says, it's important to me that he could have flipped this and then been like, just putting this out there.
You can yank that bar all night long.
Super dang cool project I did. Super dang cool project I did. It's very important to me that he goes to good home. Mustang bridge and offset bravado means you can tug on that rod all night long.
Yeah, tug that wang bar.
Yeah.
It's super stable.
Yeah, he's ready. He's ready to blow his stack.
Oh my gosh. Oh, there's too many bad jokes coming in my mind now. But I mean, I think the more notable thing about this is the guy's angle. I mean, besides us exploring this really interesting homoerotic angle with this guitar, his whole angle that, like, I don't think this guy wants to sell this.
No.
Like, if you buy it from him, he wants you to check with him before you sell it again to make sure you're selling it to the right people, or to make sure he doesn't want to buy it back or something like that. And he wants to make sure it stays close to him, like geography wise. Like, that's a weird detail. Like, if those are the things you're requesting in your ad, you don't want to sell, man. Don't sell it.
The thing that's funny about this is
keep this guitar.
As I've been developing Super Rich Steve as like a character,
as a standalone character for that spinoff you're gonna do.
Yeah, from my show. Is this the Big Bang Theory, and then Super Rich Steve will be the young
gosh.
show.
The story of how Steve came to be regular Steve in the garage with me. The whole life previous was Super Rich Steve, and now he's just a regular schmuck doing a guitar podcast.
So I think it's an important thing in the development of Super Rich Steve as like a bit character that Super Rich Steve is like just a raging douche, but only to people who like super deserve it.
Does this guy deserve it?
And as I read this, like part of me is like,
because Super Rich Steve would buy this and then like ship it to India where it would get fed into a wood chipper.
It's like undeveloped Super Rich Steve would be like, oh, this guitar's your buddy. You want him to go to a good home? I'm going to smash it in your home. But then like developed Super Rich Steve is like, no, you can keep your guitar. Like,
right.
Super developed Super Rich Steve would be like, how about I pay you $750 to not sell your guitar?
We haven't even seen Super Rich Steve's final form yet. Like, this is getting really compelling. I cannot wait.
Super Rich Steve is going to come in here and he's just going to be like, Kamehameha!
Like, Super Rich Steve right now is using 12% of his brain.
12%. Power level is not over 9,000.
You don't want to know what's going to happen when he gets up into 50%. 100%, Super Rich Steve will be like one with the universe. Someone makes some.
Was that a meme reference? You're referencing a meme there, weren't you?
Make some memes out of this, guys. Super Rich Steve memes. You just got to screen grab Steve's face and then do that thing with the brain, with like the brain exploding with light.
It's got to be like just different faces, or I'm like straight face and then like progressive smiles.
Yeah.
Anyway, this guitar looks really cool. I wish you would have said more about like what the parts are.
I mean, it looks like a proper Fender that he's done mods on. I like the concept of putting an offset trim.
The trem is even like a proper Fender trem.
Yeah, and he put a Mustang bridge on there too with a cool like bridge plate for the bridge pickup. Yeah. I like the look of that blade pickup in the bridge. I think it's really classy. I think he did a classy job on this, and I don't think he should sell it because clearly he loves it. So, dude, don't sell your guitar.
I think this is a Mexican neck, but honestly, I can't tell. It looks really nice, though.
Yeah, I mean, $750. Like, I'd have to know more details to know if that's a fair price. If this started out with MIA parts, then I feel like it's a really fair buy. If this is Mexican parts, then like I don't think the concept is. I don't think it's there. Like you're gonna pay normal guitar prices for this, even though it looks like it's well done.
One thing he says is that this is a custom fit case, but whatever was living in this custom fit case originally was not this guitar. I think originally it had maybe a
like a single cut LP sort of thing.
I'm thinking it originally also had a Telecaster, but it had like a 72 style. Because I'm looking at where the felt is worn out.
A top switch there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So that's kind of, when I read custom fit case, I was thinking it was like custom for this guitar. It might be custom for a Telecaster, but not this one specifically.
Yeah, I mean, it does look like a cool case, but I don't know, for $750, like I said, I'd have to know more about this guitar.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
All right, this week's song was sent by Jake Anderson. Let me grab this hook up here.
Hook it up, Steve.
It's called Weekend. He says, "Hey boys, here's a demo of a song me and my band Enclosures are working on."
Did he really say, "Hey boys"?
He did.
All right.
Enclosures, which is funny because enclosures are what what I call the title. Anyway,
all right.
I'm dumb. I'm on the bass playing an American Performer Series P bass through a Fender Rumble. The lead guitarist is playing a Gibson Les Paul Studio through an AC30. Rhythm is a 74 SG through a Fender Hot Rod. Big fan of the show. Thanks for keeping Hawaiian shirts cool. Not sure if that's actually true.
It's not. I mean, I'm keeping them. I couldn't say they're cool, but play that song, Steve. It's in stereo.
Come around, don't pretend that it's a secret. I know you're gonna let it out. I know you told your friends about me, but I don't really
That was fun.
That's a neat little ending there.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
I like the hook. I mean, what are you doing on the weekend?
I don't know.
Steve, come on, tell me.
It's Thursday. I'm working this weekend.
Damn.
I'm
dude.
working on Saturday, and then I'm playing bass on Sunday.
I think I'm going to play guitar on Sunday. I think we got family plans Saturday.
All right, guys. Have fun.
Later, guys.
Stay grounded.